made between February and January. So if a contractor has been paid in January or February, and you call him in June, when he has heard on the radio that an audit is being conducted, whether he's owed or not, on radio, I mean, you call him on phone, his immediate answer will be that, no, government does not owe me. As at that time, what you should ask him is, as at 31st December 2024, are you owed or not? I'm talking here not generally, but specifically in relation to the Ministry of Finance situation.
Mr. Chairman, I think to help Chief Director answer the questions correctly, it will be helpful we point to specific transactions, because he seems to be giving generic possibilities in his response. So if you can ask with specific transactions, then he can let you know with this specific one what actually happened.
Minister, I asked the specific question, and the minister, the chief director, went to want to explain the broader so that it will sit in context. Even with the explanation he's giving, if this explanation had been given to the auditors, I believe almost half or two-thirds of this report will not be here. That is why I said I will come to the point of the exchange rate transactions. If the auditors go to the suppliers for confirmation, and he is going with the current exchange rate at that day, do the auditors get back to the ministry when they go for these suppliers confirmation? Chief Director, did the auditors get back to you when they went for these suppliers confirmation?
Yes, the auditors got back to us several times, and the main complaint was that they were not getting responses from the suppliers and contractors. I remember in one meeting, we were made to understand that some of these contracted owe people so much that when they get calls from unknown numbers, they don't answer them.
Chief Director, so when they get back to them, do they or do you inquire from them the amount that they send to them and the basis of the exchange rate that they used, and your explanation of the bank transaction advice as at that day that you issued and the exchange rate variation? Because if you do, and if the auditors also did that, I'm sure that explanation would have been given, and it would have taken these exchange rate matters out of it. I was actually not even going on the exchange rate matter when you came, because I understand exchange rate transactions as and when payments are made. That is the exchange rate that would apply. So I was not even going there up until you came. But if these found themselves in the infractions that the auditors have brought, then that becomes an issue for the everyday Ghanaian to be talking about. But should the auditors have gone for the supplier's confirmation with an exchange rate of theirs, but not what was pertaining at the time that you raised the BTAs, and you gave these explanations, I'm sure probably all of these things will not have found. Auditors, the chief director says you went to the suppliers confirming from them with an exchange rate of yours, and that has brought us to where some of these infractions are.
If I may clarify before the auditors come in, I said in compiling the outstandings that we gave to the auditors didn't use their own exchange rate. We compiled with one standard dollar to CD exchange rate and gave it to them to confirm.
I'm sorry. These were transactions that happened before December 2024. I'm sorry? To 31st December 2024. Those transactions had specific, exchange rate on them. So there wouldn't be any different exchange rate. Now, let me ask a question before the auditors come in. The 7.4 of the BTA that was rejected, has anybody come back to give you subsequent information that would make you change this amount? Because you couldn't get responses from some of the contractors.
Contract, do you want to respond to the one that was not found in Gifts? Our straightforward answer will be yes. Our straightforward answer will be yes. Yes.
Auditors, you were supposed to come in.
With respect to confirmations that we made of contractors and suppliers, we stated clearly in the letter that we sent to them that they should confirm balances outstanding as at 31st December 2024. And Honorable Chair, we did not state any amount owed them. We asked them to confirm what was owed them. Yeah.
But auditors, I find this very revealing. And I think, like Akwesi said, 2/3 of what is contained in this report would not have been there if we had clarity from the start. But I want to find out from you, I'm not an auditor, but I know that in standard audit practices, if you get this information, like you wrote to the contractors, private entities, to inquire from them how much is owed them and all of that, were you not required to go back to the ministries for confirmation or otherwise? Were you not required to go back to the ministries for confirmation?
Honorable, we did, because once we received a confirmation and the amount differed, we had to go back to the ministry, to provide us with further information on what the supplier had confirmed. Indeed, we asked the suppliers as well to supply us with information to back the amount they claim is owed them, which, they did. And then we got back to the ministries, and for some of the reasons that they offered, it meant that sometimes payment may have been made to them that they are not aware. And these reasons, we stated it in our report. We had closing meetings. Aside engaging the MDAs, we held closing meetings, and as the Honorable Deputy Minister indicated, opportunities were also given to the suppliers, to get back to us on the amounts rejected and those that were pending confirmation. So yes, we did engage them.
So auditors, it therefore means that any payment that were made after the cutoff period of 31st December 2024 will not have a reflection in it, reducing the amount that the supplier would have to bring to you to incur these errors. Because you are talking about the cutoff of 31st December 2024. But in the responses of the Chief Director, he gave an impression to us, and if I'm wrong, you may correct me, that some payments that were made in February would have been deducted by the suppliers, and therefore the amount that they would raise to the auditors would therefore be less of that amount which the auditors would have sent to them to confirm. But the auditors are telling us they never put any figure in it, but they asked them for the closing balances as at 31st December. So that disparity ought not to happen. Chief Director.
The auditors adopted, a methodology that works for a large-scale audit like this. So sometimes it's difficult to interrogate them on the basis of the specifics of why didn't you do it this way or why didn't you do it this way. When you call me in June and you ask me, how much does Government of Ghana owe you? If my payment had been made in January, I said, Government of Ghana doesn't owe me. If you ask me, how much did they owe you as of December 31st? I said, okay, hold on a minute. Let me check from my accountant. Let me check what the figure was at that time. Depending on where the person was at the time you call, and so that's why I'm saying that now we are not in the middle of the audit, so it's difficult to, but whilst they were doing the audit and they were struggling with information, they will adopt an approach that enables them to do the work they have been asked to do.
Mr. Chairman, you know, when the finance minister assumed office as Minister for Finance, he gave directives that all payments should be suspended. No payment should be made until the auditors have validated them. So from that time, no single payment was made. Obviously, the finance minister came to the office sometime in February. It is possible that from 1st January to the time of that instruction, there may be some payments that went through. What we need to find out, if anybody talks about these things, we need to verify if those payments were made between 1st January and maybe the end of January. Otherwise, if the payment had already been...
Minister, I know that at the Ministry of Finance, I mean, without the minister or deputy minister's approval, nothing goes through.
That is why I will be surprised.
You can talk about 1st to 7th.
That is why I will be surprised that any of these transactions in question, somebody will say that, oh, they were paid before the audit started. But it is possible that some payments, because there were some BTAs at controller, those BTAs had already been given approval by all approving authorities, and it was only waiting for funds to be paid. So it is possible that some transactions could have gone through. But we need to be sure. That is why I will want us to not give generic responses, but look at transaction by transaction. So this particular BTA that was rejected, why was it rejected? Is it that it had been paid already? If it had been paid, when was it paid? Was it paid before December 31st? If it was paid before December 31st, why did we have another BTA pending there? If it was paid after December 31st, when was it paid? Was it before the instruction of the finance minister or after? So we will have to get all these pieces of information to be able to give, to be able to conclude on any single transaction. Thank you.
Chairman, thank you very much. If you move to page 7, there is an amount of 2.4 million that was paid for the renovation works at the Ministry of Finance, Red Cool Flats. And the ministry says this amount was erroneously included in it. And this amount had already been paid according to the auditors. It states that these commitments, which had already been paid, related to. So, Director, in drafting up the schedule, of payables, don't you have any means of determining the amount that had already been paid being deducted from the outstanding amount, rather than send amount that had already been paid, for instance, with the one that the auditors pointed to page 7, to be included in the schedule of payment back to the auditors? Because it says this amount was mistakenly included in it. But however, the amount had already been paid, but it was brought back onto the payment of schedule of payables.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This is one of the few transactions that, as a result of the compilation process, was included in the list of outstanding when it had actually already been paid. So this was an error.
Director, should there have been money to be paid, as I'd say, prior to the end of the audit, and this remained on the schedule of payables? Would this amount had been paid in error to the suppliers? Because it was on the payment schedule.
Yeah, no.
And should my brother Ampim had money to pay, and you gave him this global sum would have also been paid in error, right?
No, Honorable Chair. This wouldn't have been paid in error. Let me explain. I explained earlier on the process of generating the transactions or the schedule that was given to the auditors. that we called MD, we asked MDA to submit claims. Our budget office compiled it, asked officers within divisions within the ministry to bring information. If this had been processed again onto the gift means and pending, then you say that there's a risk that it will be paid again. But this was one of the things that an invoice that the schedule officer didn't know had had already been paid and added it. So there's no way this would have been paid twice. This particular one would have been paid twice. Let me add that when the auditors complete their work, let's assume they didn't pick this up as having been paid already and submitted it. It doesn't mean that this payment will be made. There's a validation process that goes on before payments are made, including picking files, checking on the gift means, and so on and so forth.
Please. Chief Director, you are the current Chief Director, and the former Chief Director is here.
He was also a former Chief Director at Ministry of Finance before.
Were you the former Chief Director at Finance?
No, the person speaking was a former.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So did this happen under your watch?
The compilation.
No, the questions that we are asking, was it under your watch?
Yes, please.
So who should be answering? The current one or the former one?
Unfortunately, I don't have access to full information, and so it will be difficult for me to provide very detailed responses to some of the questions.
So who was there?
In February, I was.
February, you were?
Yes, sir.
But up to 2024 December, who was there?
I was there. I was at the Ministry of Finance.
As a Chief Director?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So I think you may be the one that may be asking, answering these questions, right?
As I said, Mr. Chair, I haven't been there since April last year, and so I don't have detailed information as to what transpired.
Okay. I could say continue, please.
Mr. Chairman, the team that prepared to come and give responses are the current Chief Director and the others, so that is why. But if there are some specific responses that she can fill in, I think she'll be able to do that. But respectfully, we will allow the current Chief Director and others to respond. Thank you.
All right. Let's continue.
Thank you, Rankin. Chief Director, these errors that the schedule officer made are some of the reasons why we are here. And we say this amount will not have been paid again because it would have been processed back onto the gift mix. Chief Director, doesn't it surprise you, therefore, that a schedule officer would not know that these invoices have been paid, but will still have these invoices sitting on his table, included in the payable schedule? That will therefore affect the cash management system that you do have in terms of the amount that you have generated and wanting to pay. Because if the schedule officers will continuously be making these mistakes and would have to call for the external auditors to come, what therefore is the role of the internal auditors that we do have? And should these figures not have included in this one, wouldn't the country be at peace with some of these errors that these schedule officers and civil servants have made?
Oh, okay. I was waiting for signals to, protocols. Yeah, Honorable Chair, we have identified a couple of weaknesses, in our system. I think when the Honorable Chair of the PAC gave her opening remarks, she alluded to the fact that there are weaknesses that we need to address. And I believe going forward, in fact, we are already taking measures to prevent the occurrence of some of these weaknesses. We believe the time has come when we should configure our systems to ensure that you don't need somebody to bring an invoice manually for you to be able to say that this is owing or this is not, owed. And we are already taking steps to ensure that our systems are improved going forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My last one will be on page 16. persisting, where an amount of, in February 2025, an amount of almost about 150 million was paid, and these were paid in terms of mobilization 15% and 2 IPCs that were raised. And I know IPCs are raised on the basis of work done, completed work done. Here we are looking at 17% work done by the auditor's confirmation, but you paid an amount of 39%, way in advance of the IPCs and the actual work done by the contractor, Amandi. He had done a 17% work done, but however, the percentage that we paid was 39%. The Chief Director, was this one also paid in error?
Honorable Chair, this was not paid in error. When you do projects, the contracts provide for the way the payments should be made. The payments that were made were in accordance with the terms of the contract. The payment included mobilization and payment of IPCs in line with milestone deliverables as specified in the contract. The assertion by the auditors that the payment exceeded work done is therefore not accurate. As of February 2026, the physical progress of work stands at approximately 72%, while the payment, that's advanced mobilization and IPCs, represent about 57% of the contract sum. This indicates that the payments are commensurate and, in fact, lag behind the level of work completed rather than exceeding it.
It should have been my last question, but you said the auditors, the figures by the auditors are wrong. Auditors, it says their figure is right and yours is wrong. The actual work done is what they paid.
Sorry, before the auditors come in again, Honorable, I didn't say what they paid was the actual work done. If you listen to me carefully, I said the payments were in line with the contract, and that the contract was based on payment of advanced mobilization and milestone deliverables, and that was what was done. The other aspect of your question related to whether the work done was commensurate with the payment, and on that, I said that is not accurate because as of February, because we have not done an assessment as of December, as of February, I mean, when the audit was commissioned, the actual work done was more than the IPC and milestone payments that have been done. I don't know if you get the difference.
Chief Director, I do, but let me read a portion to you, and then the auditors will come in. A physical verification performed in June 2025, and the payment was in February. So let's bear these 2 dates. You paid in February, and the auditors went to the ground to physically verify in June, and they said this: revealed that the amount paid to the contractors for the expansion project constituted 39% of the total contract sum. However, level of work done to date, that was in June, of which payment was in February, was 17%. So it therefore cannot be said, unless the auditors made a mistake with their physical verification, that when you were paying in February, the amount you paid was actually for the level of work done. And the auditors went there in February and still had a different figure. So what you are saying...
That payment, and what was the component of work done as at 31st December 2027, that will be helpful for all of us.
Auditors, can you please help?
Yes, we can do. Thank you very much. So, Honorable Member, as you rightly said, IPCs are raised based on work done. Now, during this audit, when we went to do an evaluation of the work done, it was not as much as the money that was paid. But the issue here was the contract was signed based on milestones that pay us to second floor this amount. When we get there, you pay us this to fourth floor. It was on milestones without looking at the components of the work. So when you use the bill of quantity to extract, you see that they paid more than work that was supposed to be done. So the issue here was to bring the issue of the contract that was put, the clause that was put in the contract, that pay on based on milestones instead of work done.
But in this particular contract, I think there was some mobilization paid.
Yes, please.
And wouldn't that have made the payment higher than what was completed? Because once you pay mobilization,
was 15%, and the work done was 17%, so it was redeemed.
okay, I'm waiting for your answer.
Yes, there was mobilization. But you see, as I said, they were paid to second floor. That pay is up to second floor. When they were still on the first floor slab. But that was how the contract was carved. It was based on milestones.
But do you see that as an infraction?
Well, it is not a good contract, that clause, because it's risky.
It's risky?
Yes. What it means is that you are pre-financing the contract.
But I want to find out from you, I mean, was there an exit conference between yourself and the Ministry of Finance on these findings?
Yes, we did.
You did?
Yes, but the contract was a contract.
And these matters never came up for discussion?
It came up.
All right.
But we want, that's why I'm saying, you know, Honorable Chair said we want to bring about corrections moving forward.
Yes.
So this is an issue we want to highlight, that this type of contract is risky.
Okay, the next Honorable Cletus will take care of that. I will go from page 13 to 16.
Yes. Chairman, let me start with page 12. We have contract awarded amounting to 955.76 million Ghana cedis without commencement certificate. Page 12. I would like the Chief Director to tell us why it happened that way. A contract, almost $1 billion contract without commencement certificate. This in respect of renovation of Controller Accountant General Staff Bungalows, Ministry of Finance Head Office Expansion Project, purchase of vehicles, totaling almost $1 billion without commencement certificates.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, I'm trying to locate the specific question in my document. I'm sorry, give me a minute, let me. Oh. Honorable Chair, that number is made up of a number of transactions. One has to do with the renovation of the Controller Accountant General Staff Development Center, and then another had to do with the Ministry of Finance Head Office Expansion Project, and then another has to do with the design, installation, and commissioning of the data center, and then another had to do with the procurement of vehicles. Honorable Minister, when it comes to the projects that are undertaken by Ministry of Finance, as I explained earlier, Ministry of Finance serves as a central management agency and then also as an MDA. So in most cases, when it comes to Ministry of Finance, you will not see the type of commencement certificate that you see for other MDAs. You see a memo approved by the minister, and that is taken as an approval of the minister, I mean, in that respect.
Did you explain this to the auditors?
I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure that is the explanation that would have been given to the auditors. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Auditors, you heard Chief Director's response. I just need some education. I think this issue about commencement certificate is very clear in the PFM Act. Is it that the law is different for Ministry of Finance? How do you handle it? Why is it that Ministry of Finance can write a memo and that suffices, and other ministries cannot do that?
Honorable Chair, in reading the law, we didn't see exceptions in the law for Ministry of Finance.
Honorable Chair, if I may clarify, there are areas in the law that we ourselves have identified for improvement. And in this particular instance, the improvement the minister recommended has actually been approved by Parliament with the amendment of the Public Procurement Act to ensure that all procurement by any government entity gets a commencement authorization specifically from the Minister for Finance before the commencement process, before the procurement process starts. And that is what has resulted in a replacement of this requirement for a commencement certificate with a requirement for a commencement authorization. And that process has actually started. Thank you.
Chief Director, this one we are looking at 2024, where at that time there is no amendment, and then you're supposed to comply by that. Why did you not comply with that?
Honorable, we've complied. We obtained approval of the minister, except that it was not in the letter going outside the Ministry of Finance.
Thank you. So, Chief Director, thank you. Let's go to page 13. Page 13, we have an amount of 917,931 Ghana cedis. Commitment could not be substantiated. This sum, if you come to the table, you awarded contracts and payments were made with no contract signed. If you go to the table, you notice you have some 4 companies here: Jinson Plus Enterprise, Axinos Company Limited, Awimbihet something Ghana Limited, Dinani Limited. These 4 companies, if you come, you awarded contract, that's in respect of Controller Accountant Headquarters and re-roofing of Wa Regional Hospital. You awarded these contracts to various contractors, and no contract was cited. So, and you paid. What did you use to pay? There was no signed contract, and yet payments were made. How did that happen?
Thank you. Mr. Chair, in respect with our Controller Accountant General, the contract was not awarded because we couldn't go through the procurement process by 31st December. And for that matter, payment was not effected. Thank you.
So how were payment made?
Payment was not effective, but just that as at 31st, we committed the amount that was given us, the warrant was committed and incumbent on the system. But then we initiated the procurement process, and by 31st December, we hadn't gone through the process to award the contract for the renovation to be undertaken and payment effected. So it was ended there, and payment was not effected. Thank you.
So we are talking of commitments here. So you made commitment without a contract.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, what happened was that in 2024, we were given some amount outside our budgetary allocation. So we wrote to the ministry to give us funds to undertake renovation, buy computers and vehicles for the department, which was outside our budget for 2024, which was approved. And we need to commit the whole amount on GIFMIS, just about 15-point-something million. So as and when contracts were awarded and delivered, then we pay. So it was the same thing that happened to Azinos. Unfortunately, we couldn't complete the process, and that money wasn't paid. Thank you.
Chairman, thank you very much. Controller, the request was for you to submit your liabilities as at the end of 31st December 2024. And once that commitment was not made by then, and these schedules of liabilities or payables were sent after that date, why include this as a liability as at the end of 2024, knowing very well that contract was not awarded, it was a commitment that has expired, and therefore there was no liability, even in commitment or claims or whatever. Why do you include this in your payables?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What happened was that at the end of 31st, the assumption was that we were able to utilize that funds the following year. Because normally the money was given to us, 15.8 was given to us.
Jola, you know that is not done.
No, what I'm saying that
by end of the year, when you are not able to utilize the money, you don't have access to it again.
No, because we don't have access to it. But he was asking why it was included. It wasn't.
So once you don't have access to it and it was outside your budget, it shouldn't. If it was outside, you said it was monies that were given to you.
Yes, it wasn't part of our
outside your approved budget.
Yes.
So that if you did not utilize it, the money is gone.
Yeah. It hasn't been cancelled anyway.
Yes, but at that time, the money was gone. So then he's asking, why did you include it? Because you knew, one, it wasn't part of your budget. It was given to you based on some recommendations from the minister for a specific purpose in 2024. Yes. So that if in 2024 you were not able to utilize the money, you know these monies don't wait. So if you were not able to utilize it, you shouldn't have added it onto the payables for the ensuing year, knowing very well that this is not your budget, this is not your money. It was given to you based on some understanding that you had with the minister. So these are some of the things we want to address, so that moving forward, you don't come with, a huge amount, only for us to realize that these are some of the explanations why it was included. When you know very well that usually when monies are not yours, or even when they are yours and the year elapses, you are the same person who does that. You sweep accounts. You sweep account, don't you? You sweep people's accounts. It's happened to us even in our common fund. You sweep accounts at the end of the year when these monies are not utilized.
Madam, let him answer.
Madam, what happened? Yeah, we sweep account. But what happened was that thank you. Madam, what happened was that the figures were given to the standing commitments, and the BTAs and claims were given to the auditors by the Minister of Finance. And I remember when we met them in a meeting, we told them that this particular one, the contract was not awarded because we couldn't get the appropriate approval from PPA. And for that matter, it wasn't something that we undertake. So we didn't pay. So we told them, but the auditor said once it is part of the BTAs and commitments giving them, they would not delete them. They were going to maintain them and report on them. But we had a meeting with them, and they agreed that yes, contract was not awarded, the project was not undertaken, and we didn't pay the contractor.
Madam Chair, but who sent these commitments and all of these payables to the auditors? Who sent them, please? Who sent all of these schedules of payables to the auditors?
They were given to them by Minister of Finance.
And who sent them to the Ministry of Finance?
We sent them to the Minister of Finance.
So why, you see, the point we are raising is this. Auditor, Controller, The point is this. You are giving money to spend in 2024. Award contracts. You could not do that.
Yes.
So you don't owe anybody as at the end of that 2024 in respect of that, right?
Yes.
So why then do you carry yourself again with that amount to the Ministry of Finance for them to also forward and keep that as part of the liabilities that they owe? That is the simple answer.
Yes.
You did not commit yourself.
No.
So why express that commitment of a liability to them? That is all that I'm asking.
I think, Mr. Chair, these figures were given, it's possible that it's given to them by the procurement unit, but it's not something that was part of the BTA given to them. And we explained to them that we haven't awarded a contract, the project was not been undertaken, and payment will not be effected. We explained to them. Pardon?
Chairman, let's call a spade a spade. I think Controller and the Minister of Finance, you are whipping people to comply with the law, but you yourself are not complying with the law. And that's what is showing here. I must be truthful to you. You are not complying with the law. So accept it and then rectify it.
Thank you, Chair. What I was saying is that since the project was not undertaken, you shouldn't even have sent it to the Ministry of Finance as payables or commitments.
Mr. Chair, I think, as I said, it could be an error because when we look at it, it wasn't a BTA.
So I admit that it was an error, and then we'll move on.
And then it was, thank you.
Just admit that it was an error, then we'll move on.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were done.
No, I'm not done. My last one is on. That's page 13. No, sorry, 15. Page 15. We have what we call no evidence of maintenance of aging, analysis of arrears and commitment. Ministry of Finance, may we know why you don't have a register like that? Aging analysis. May we know why you don't have aging analysis? How do you reconcile your invoices and all of that? Let's know. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, Honorable, we'll take that as one of the recommendations that we have taken on board going forward. When it comes to the aging analysis, it helps to run a cash management framework that helps you know all the payables and to schedule them and to match them against your market operations and then financing. It's one area that we are looking to improve. You can't do that manually. The GIFMIS doesn't give us the capability to do that currently. We've not implemented that model of the GIFMIS yet, but we have taken steps to start and to operationalize the cash management framework within GIFMIS. Thank you.
You don't have money, Minister of Finance.
We have money. We have money.
Chief, you are telling the whole world you have money, so all the contractors and all the payments you have to pay. Those validated, of course.
Minister of Finance. Oh.
Chief Director, in the absence of your aging analysis, what criteria do you use for payments? In the absence of the aging analysis, because there's risk in there. So what criteria do you use?
Okay. If I can take it from 2025, in 2025, we started implementing the commitment authorization regime. And what we aim to do is that before we give the commitment authorization, we ensure that there's a budget, either under the GOG, or if it's an IGF institution or funded activity, or if it is a state-owned enterprise, we investigate and ensure that there is adequate provision to be able to pay for that item when it is delivered, or for that procurement activity when it is delivered. The challenge we have had in the past is that we didn't have these systems operational on the GIFMIS, so that you are hit from everywhere with claims that you have to deal with. So now, from 2025, we are ensuring that anything we give commitment authorization for, by the end of the year, we find money to pay for it. And last year is an example. We tried hard to ensure that the 2025 items are paid for. Our challenge now is the arrears that we are dealing with. And that we have said we'll program them over a period and clear them. We are hoping that by the end of next year, we would have started, that's 2027, we would have started implementing a new GIFMIS framework that enables us to have an effective accounts payable and cash management system, and therefore be able to do our aging analysis and ensure that payments are scheduled as soon as invoices are submitted. Currently, you will notice that, as you rightly observed, when you call a minister or a chief director and say, when will my payment be made? He can't tell you for certainty, even if the invoice has been approved. But going forward, under a cash management system, as soon as the invoice is approved, it will be scheduled. That is, okay, looking at the framework, this one will be paid in 3 months, this one will be paid in 2 months, this one will be paid at this time, and that will help. So currently, we are using the commitment authorization system to give us an assurance of availability of funds so that there will be no delay in payments. But we have to grapple with the arrears that we are validating.
Thank you very much. Chief, respectfully, you said that you're waiting to improve on the GIFMIS to enable you conduct the aging analysis and the maintenance of commitments and arrears. But you can still do a manual one so that you can double check with the GIFMIS. So whilst you are waiting to have it done, we want to reduce some of these infractions because it comes at a cost. And so maybe you should also look at getting some manual work done in this area so that this can, you can have something to compare it to be very sure of whether your aging analysis and your maintenance of commitments is being done right. Yeah, so I think this is just an advice.
Very well taken.
Yes. But I know that the work at Ministry of Finance is not easy because, like you said, you manage things centrally before you also have an MDA. You yourself, Ministry of Finance, you are an MDA that you also have to discharge your mandates just like all the other individual MDAs too. But maybe you will have to. It's like we said when we were there, that you are the midwives. You will have to go the extra mile to make sure certain things are done and done right. And because you also control the purse, sometimes you can use the carrot and stick approach to make sure the MDAs do what is expected of them, so that some of these infractions will reduce the barest minimum. So I think we've heard you, and we will make our recommendations as such. Thank you.
Okay, Minister of Finance, we've come to the end.
Mr. Chairman, before you dismiss us, I want to thank the committee for a good job and to assure all of you that already at the Ministry of Finance, we have started learning from some of these mistakes and improving upon them. It is not the case that the Ministry of Finance does not follow the laws that we expect other MDAs to follow. Currently, the Finance Minister has said because we are an MDA and also as a central management body, as explained by the Chief Director, he has put me in charge of Ministry of Finance as an MDA. And so all these requests for commitment authorizations, commencement certificate, and all that come from Ministry of Finance, I have to apply to the Minister for Finance as a central manager of the economy, so that these instances where a memo is regarded as authorization by the minister is eliminated. So I then apply to the minister from the Ministry of Finance, and then he will subject the Ministry of Finance as an MDA to the same processes that we subject other MDAs to. So that is what is happening currently, and we believe that at the end of this process, we'll have other recommendations that will help us even do better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that reassuring statement. We are done with you, so you are discharged.
Mr. Chairman, are you discharging us and our agencies, controller and everybody?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Now we call on Minister of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. Honorable Minister, could you leave one of your reps over here?
Yeah, because all the MDAs have agreed.
Yeah, thank you.
I, Noah Tumfo,
do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
Do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
Touching the matter in issue.
Touching the matter in issue.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Honorable Minister, could you and your delegation introduce yourself?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Honorable His Samson, Deputy Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, and MP for Bodi.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. My name is Noah Tumfo, Chief Director, Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Stephen Eko-Greaves, Director of Finance, Ministry of Trade and Industry.
Good morning. My name is Patrick Nimo, former Chief Director of the Ministry of Trade and Industry.
Good morning. My name is Kofi Addo. I am Director for Industry and formerly also heading the 1D, 1F.
My name is Kwadwo Dubofo, Deputy Director, Ministry of Trade.
Joyce Boatima Ikwamwa, Director for Procurement, Ministry of Trade and Industry.
Honorable NSC Awenim will handle those, your ministry.
Minister, welcome. So we are considering the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. From the special report, a total summary of arrears, payables and commitments that were submitted by the Ministry of Finance was in the tune of 116,875,956. Out of this total amount, only 25 million was validated by the auditors, and a total rejection of 91,837,457. Minister, would you want to apprise the committee of why this huge rejection before I go into the details? Would you want to say something, or you would want me to run through the details with you? Okay. So the first has to do with total variance of 1.3 million from BTAs, which were not adequately supported. So can you explain why this variance existed when you had made a claim that you had provided all supporting documents to the claim that was submitted?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the former Chief Director will respond, please.
Mr. Chairman, the question will be answered subsequently based on the structure of the report. 1.3 million. What is the 1.3?
Can you please provide me the answer? Because you submitted claims.
We
and
submitted
for 1.3 million, there were no supporting documents. And that's the explanation I need from you.
All right. The 2004, as at 31st December 2004, outstanding commitments and liabilities that we submitted to the Ministry of Finance per this communication was 2.7 million CDs. The details were processed on the gift mix and are kept on file with relevant supporting documents which were duly presented to the auditors. So I have to, okay. Currently, a senior accountant under the supervision of the Chief Treasurer is responsible for the recommended controls that were recommended by the auditors. And with respect to some of the payables, due to the fact that previous years of funds were not received to honor commitments made by the ministry based on approved allotments, the ministry decided that it would not make any commitments unless the BTAs BTA funds were actually received in the ministries.
Mr. One quick one. Yeah. Were the documents indeed provided or they were not provided?
They were provided. That's what I'm informed of.
If they were indeed provided, why would the auditors reject such claims of 1.3 million? That is the explanation I need from you, because you are claiming that these supporting documents were all submitted for the audit purposes, but the auditors went ahead and rejected the 1.3 million. So could there be any explanation to why the auditors rejected when you provided the supporting documents?
No, you can't. Unless the auditors clarify further, please.
Auditors, can you confirm if they indeed provided these supporting documents and their claims were further rejected? Auditors.
Honorable Chair, the amounts were rejected because they were not adequately supported. The evidence that was provided did not support the claim, hence the rejection.
Minister, I believe you have the explanation from the auditors. So the documents provided were not adequate enough to warrant the claim. And you are telling us in your response that you have put in place a senior accountant. Can you confirm if that senior accountant control mechanism is currently operational?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's operational as we speak.
Have you done a reconciliation of what the auditors rejected?
Mr. Chairman, it's ongoing.
Can you provide some timelines as to when you can furnish the committee with the procedures that have been conducted so far?
Mr. Chairman, we should be finishing in 2 weeks' time.
Chair, Minister confirms that they have a senior accountant in place now who is reconciling the 1.3 million that was rejected by the auditors, and that in 2 weeks he will be able to furnish the committee with evidence of the reconciliation. So I move on to the next one. So this has to do with unpaid interest which was owed under the 1D1F initiative and wasn't confirmed by the participatory banks. So can you explain why you provided a claim of 109 million, out of which you only knew 18 million could be validated, and the 90.4 You had no evidence, no support documents to back this. Can you explain why you submitted 109 when you knew you had evidence for only 18 million?
Madam Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity. When the auditors came, as part of the process, we made it clear to them that 1D, 1F is operating two forms of financing for the private sector. One is the interest subsidy regime that you alluded to. So if you go to the banks at that particular time and you ask them, they will be backing their books to the interest subsidy as standing. That is one. Two, we were also having what we call direct financing. That is the government of Ghana financing or supporting the industries. We used to call it distressed but viable companies. And that one, we also informed them. It is called direct financing. 2023 to 2024. If you recall, let me go back. When the agreement was signed and companies came under the 1D, 1F, the interest rate was capped at 20%. And that was what the government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Trade and the PFIs, participating financial institutions, were doing. 20%. And then, fast forward, by 2023, the policy rate, government policy rate, has gone beyond the 20% that we agreed with them. So the banks were not motivated to give any of their loans to the private because they are using depositors' money. And if they do it, they are going to do it at a loss. So in various engagements that we have with the banks agree that those companies that have had their offers before 2023, they will continue to pay the stipulated 20%, for which government will pay 10% and the private sector will pay 10%. But from 2023 going, the Ghana reference rate was even about 35%. So why should they use their money, depositors' money, to offset something that they will be doing at a loss?
Okay, I think that is very clear here. But from the agreement with these participating banks, government was supposed to provide 50% in subsidies for these interests. But with the amount that was rejected, there was no lodgement whatsoever to these banks. So you have no case to say that the banks did not pay because of the rate. How much of it was paid or lodged to the banks? If government had an agreement to pay 50% in subsidies and nothing of that sort was paid with this 90.4 million, then the banks have every reason to say they won't accept it. But then, can you confirm, was government able to pay anything out of the subsidies, even if government had agreed to a cap of 20%, okay, and government had paid its 10% of it at the time? But from your responses here, out of the 90.4, nothing of that sort was paid in subsidies.
Honorable Chair, that's exactly where I was going. So if you follow the interest subsidy agreement, one, as part of the obligation of government is supposed to make advance payment, and that is agreed. Two, when it comes to the second direct financing, as and when government of Ghana has finance, then the government of Ghana will now send the money to the banks. So if you go to the banks to ask them that how much is the ministry is owing you, there will be nothing. But 2023, 2024, that's why I wanted to give the background. Ghana reference rate was about 35%. So the government itself said, no, let me look for funding to support companies as additional working capital, for which we also explained to the auditors that we have what we call direct financing. So, Honorable, that is why if you look at our books or the bank's books, they were saying that we are not owing them. It's a fact. But that money was to use to support the companies as additional working capital.
Okay. Was there any form of reconciliation by the ministry and the banks? Because if you look at these discrepancy at the time, had there been any reconciliation as to how much was actually owed to these banks between the ministry and the banks? Can you confirm that?
Honorable Chair, we have always been having quarterly engagement with the banks to always update our the update of the standing.
Is there evidence to that?
Yes, we can provide.
Was this provided to the auditors when they came on site?
Please, they were provided with all the documents.
Auditors, can you provide evidence to this effect? Because they are claiming that they provided this to you. Because if there was evidence that there was no such amount owed at the time, why would they submit a total claim of 109 million? So, auditors.
Honorable Chair, we were provided with a schedule of the outstandings. We did not cite a reconciliation between the bank and the MDAs regarding the outstanding amount.
Minister, any response to that?
No, Mr. Chairman, what I would say, I thought if that figure became an issue, either the ministry or the auditors could have gone further to engage the banks to ascertain the validity of those claims.
Minister, the auditors, as part of their work, wrote to these banks and requested for confirmations on these balances. So for the auditors, they had done their part. But where the ministry failed is where the auditors touched on. Reconciliations between the banks and the ministry is a regular thing you should be doing. Once you have outstanding loans with these banks, you should be reconciling on a monthly basis. Auditors come, there are no evidence to the effect that reconciliations have been done. So if the bank comes to say that this is how much you are owed and you have no evidence to back that, how do you then defend your position? So that is what I think we are trying to improve systems, okay? Just admit that the ministry failed at the time to perform reconciliation, and don't double around it as though you did it and the auditors are saying you didn't do it. I believe you understand where I'm driving at. Director, I think Minister has done his bit. So, Chief Director.
In responding, we had accepted the recommendation that from the auditors that the reconciliation should end up in a signed document, mutual signed document, so that it's verifiable.
Exactly.
That's what the auditors suggested, and I think that's an improvement.
Thank you, Chief Director. So we move on to the next point, where there was 10.5 million worth of transaction not recognized by a Standard Chartered Bank. And this infraction, it's quite worrying because the auditors had written to these banks to confirm how much payments had gone through them. And Standard Chartered Bank came back to say that no amount of 10.5 million came through them. Do you have any explanation to that?
Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you very much. First, as part of the auditor's report, we read that Standard Bank said that the accounts that we were talking about did not exist in their book. I want to put on record, and we have the documentations to prove that that account exists. As part of the 1D1F, and please, just a minute to explain, all the participating financial institutions have given us their bank account, and this bank account is also sitting in the books of Bank of Ghana. So when finance give authorizations in the form of BTAs, and then controller releases the amount of money, it goes into the ministry's accounts in the Bank of Ghana. And then the Bank of Ghana do the forward transfer to the banks as per the instruction that controller has given. So we were amazed to hear that Sanchad is saying that that account, to be fair with you, we have never had any account called buffer account. It never exists in our books. But that account number exists with Sanchad.
Okay. On that basis, we are trying to improve the systems. Do you have any evidence or a bank statement confirming the existence of that bank account with Sanchad?
Chair, please, we have.
If you have a bank statement of Standard Chartered, was that provided to the auditors when they came?
Yes, because all the bank accounts, we provided everything to the accountant, the auditors. So that's why we are saying that we, from the ministry, we are amazed about this. Yeah.
I think that I have further information to that effect. Auditors, can you confirm if you cited this bank statement and if Standard Chartered Bank has come back to you with evidence of the existence of the account?
Honorable Chair, we were not provided with bank statement of that account by the MDA. Indeed, when the bank confirmed that the account did not exist, we came back. First, we asked the bank to confirm amounts that the MDA has with them. The bank came that we should provide further details. So we reached out to the MDA and then we provided the account number. The bank indicated initially that they could not trace it. So we reverted to the MDA. So it has been back and forth. Just a week or so, the bank came back to us that indeed that bank account that we stated, they still could not trace it, but then there's another account that they have seen transactions between the bank and then the MDA. We are yet to take a detailed look at that account to satisfy ourselves that indeed it was for the program.
You mean same bank, but a different account?
Yeah, same bank, but a different account.
I mean, having listened to the 1F man, he makes claim that there's an existence of that bank account. I mean, and there's a statement to that effect. Have you boarded? And I want to find out from you, have you given copies of these statements to the auditors to verify? Because, I mean, that for me is the most important thing. Please, have you done that? Because you claim that you have the statement. Do you have the statement with you now?
Yes. So the letter and the details of the accounts are all here that we can provide. That's why I'm saying that from our side, we were surprised to hear from the auditors that that account does not exist. Madam Chair.
So you claim, please, take your time. So are you telling this committee that as you sit here, you have statements from Standard Bank with the account number?
I have, yes, one, a letter from the Standard confirming the account number. And then when we also did the transfer.
Are you able to pass on this document? Please
yes.
kindly pass it on. Let me have a look at it.
Do you owe the bank any money?
No. Honorable Chair, no.
So why would they deny? Why would they deny that you don't have an account with them?
Honorable Chair, that's the reason why I'm saying that I myself, we are amazed. Because Standard Chartered Bank is one of the PFIs that has two companies, and two companies specifically, Ayum and Atlantic Life Science, being supported under Standard Bank. So it will be amazed for me to hear that they are saying that that account does not exist.
So I have with me here a letter from Standard Chartered Bank, an address to the Minister of Trade, Ministry of Trade and Industry, the Administrative Office, Ministries Accra, and the attention one Kofi Addo. Dear Sir, payment details to Standard Chartered Bank Ghana PLC. Please find submission of account payment details on behalf of Standard Chartered Bank PLC. and they have stated the account name, the SWIFT code, the branch, and the account numbers involved. There's a USD, in fact, they are all USD accounts. Maybe I have to pass it on to the auditors, because the auditors claim that they have seen another account that they are yet to verify. This is coming from the ministry, and this is a committee of records. I'm not too sure the ministry will submit a document knowing very well the implications of it. So I need you to confirm, just cross-check this document with what you have, so that we are able to settle this matter here once. Yes, whether you've seen this document before. Kindly do that for us.
Yeah. Madam Chair, the account numbers were two. One was the USD and one was the CD account. Yes, thank you.
And I don't know if you'll be able to also give me a copy of the letter, the account that you have cited. We also would want to see what you have cited. Probably maybe I'll offer you the opportunity to explain whether or not there are differences in the two documents that you have you have seen. So please, yes, just allow. So auditors, you have the floor. You have the floor. You can now go ahead and explain to us.
Honorable Chair, I have also forwarded a response from the bank. Looking at what you shared with us, the account numbers are the same as we have requested of the bank. And if, per the confirmation that you have, if you could take a look at it, you'll see exactly what the bank said, that they could not trace the account into their system.
Same account. Same account.
Honorable, yes.
In one breath, the bank confirms to the ministry that there's an existence of that account. But I'm surprised. I'm surprised at the bank.
I must add
yes,
that
please,
in their latest confirmation, they indicated that they have another account where transactions have happened between themselves and the ministry. But on that specific account, which the ministry provided to us, the bank, in their confirmation, said they could not trace it, in their system.
Did they provide specific account details, i.e., bank account numbers, to the recent communique that came from the bank? Was that provided to you?
Let me revert on that in a minute.
Yes, kindly do that.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Chair, from their confirmation, they did not mention that specific bank account number.
Yes, so I think we need to get to the bottom of this matter. And I mean, people's integrity are on the line. I think it's important for you and the auditors, it's important for you to get back to the bank, because I mean, in their haste to give different accounts, I even cited on the letter from the ministry, it was not even dated. I mean, if you look at the letter from Standard Chartered to the ministry, it was not even dated. If I look at the statement, the letter that was given to you, there are even differences in logo sizes. I mean, you wonder how serious this bank would want to handle state matters. So get back to them. I mean, we want a response from them. Kindly provide them with these account details from the ministry, and for them to also confirm or otherwise if this account really exists, and if not, the account that there is, they should be able to give us some details. We need that before we are able to submit this report to the plenary. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a suggestion, Mr. Chairman? I was thinking that because we have provided the account details and the auditors have different account details, won't it be possible for the committee to officially write to Stanchart for confirmation or otherwise?
You see, the committee will not write directly to the bank. The auditors and then the ministry will be the ones to get us that information. Stanchart is a private company. The auditors can request for it.
Then also the auditors are working for and on behalf of the state. Then also the auditors are working for and on behalf of the state, as we are doing now. So we expect them to act in good faith, and that is why we'll make reference to them to get back to their bank and provide us with that information. Probably maybe if I think UI, right? Yes. So kindly be working with the audit service for us to get before.
And we are the requesting party who the Rural Enterprise Project would notify us to forward a request to the Ministry of Finance, and that obligation will be met.
Since we have the auditors here, auditors, can you confirm if your further verification confirmed that this should have been arrears and not a commitment as you have stated in the report?
Honorable Chair, per the schedule that was provided to us, it was stated as a BTA, but looking at the documentation that we cited, it should be a commitment, rather than a BTA. A BTA implied that it had gone through all the approval processes, just pending payment. But per the document we reviewed, it had not got into that stage, and we reclassified it from BTA to commitment.
Chief Director, do you have anything to say on this?
Mr. Chair, we accept that. It was initiated at Ministry of Finance, so we accept it.
So what assurances would you give the committee that in the future such a misclassification will not occur?
Mr. Chair, as the former Chief Director said, this is part of the agreement with IFAD to make that amount available yearly. As we speak, the project has ended as of December last year, and the amounts are still outstanding.
Okay. Let's move on to fiscal verification of assets and goods and services. So the auditors noted there was a missing laptop. That was in their verification handed over to a former minister. Can you confirm if this laptop has been retrieved and if there is evidence confirming the retrieval of this laptop?
Honorable Chair, as a ministry, we would like to confirm that the laptop has been retrieved. Indeed, the laptop is not working, and it was with the IT division, so it has been retrieved. Thank you very much.
So you mean that the said laptop was in your possession even at the time of the audit? Is that the case?
Per the information that was given to us, the laptop was not working, so it was given to, yes. So it is in our possession.
No, please, take your time, take your time. There's a laptop in question. Now, according to the audit report, the laptop is missing. Now, you tell us that no, the laptop is not missing, and that the laptop is not working, and the laptop was with IT department. These are three issues that you have raised. I want to find out from you, at the time of the audit, where was this laptop?
At the time of the audit, per the information that was given to us, it was with the IT department. Yeah.
IT department of the ministry. And so the laptop wasn't missing, yes, but the laptop was with the IT department for repairs because it wasn't working. Is that what you are telling this committee?
Madam Chair, yes.
All right.
Okay, Chief Director, at the time of the audit, now there is response that it was with the IT unit. When the auditors were on site, what evidence was available at the time? And what explanation did you provide to the auditors for them to capture as missing, when indeed you knew this laptop was with the IT unit? Can you provide some better particulars? Because this one, it doesn't sit well, because you cannot say it was with the IT and auditors will classify as missing at the time of audit.
Honorable Chair, these are part of the processes and then inventory that sometimes we are confronted with. The issue was that, so we were all looking to see where exactly it was. And because it wasn't working, the IT people have also put it somewhere. So until later on that we wanted to look at the our books again, and then we were able to trace that the laptop is around.
So it is worrying that in this report it's been captured as a deputy minister at the time who had in possession this laptop. But here, from the explanation we are hearing, it was never with the person, it was with an IT person. And it's been captured in this. This is not even the case here. There are other inventory management issues that you have at the ministry. Here, there are 47 air conditions, 16 chairs, which were issued without proper documentation. And this raises a lot of questions on how we keep our inventory. So please, ministry, you have to be up and doing, and let's put in the internal controls such that these things do not occur. Because it's worrying. You tarnish a minister's name, and it now comes up that the laptop was with the IT department, sitting somewhere. And now, whoever picks this report and does not have this explanation does not know what happened. So please, it is sad and worrying that we have such a situation. So, Minister, I think that you would need to put things in the right perspective so that the ministry can set up on these inventory issues.
Going forward, we will try and see. I mean, it's not right, because if you read the report, and luckily for us, we now have it in our possession.
It's there, so it wasn't missing.
Mr. When we were in secondary school and we were about graduating, even books, textbooks that are given to you by the school, until you submit those books, you don't get your certificate. And the whole ministry is exposing its lack of inventory management. I mean, it's been a subject of media discussions and ridiculing and all of that. Probably, Minister. And I know, I mean, people who get opportunity to serve as deputy, like my uncle. I mean, if tomorrow laptops. So how do you say that Samsung is refusing to return even one laptop? And it becomes a subject of audit report, and it's contained in this special audit finding. I don't think it's proper. So probably maybe we may have to use this opportunity with this information that has come to apologize to the minister in question, the deputy minister in question, that as a state we are sorry for wrongly accusing him of keeping a laptop of this nature.
Who is accusing him? No, you see, we need to be careful over here. It's on the ministry that he worked. The ministry that he worked. who is saying that he didn't return it. Yes, sir. Doc.
So maybe before we invite the minister to say anything further, I'm just wondering how the auditors could have come to this conclusion. And they are here. What did the ministry tell you? How come you captured it as missing? And the impression is being created that it was in the possession of the minister. The ministry is giving us the impression that they didn't give any such information. So can you reconcile this? How did you create that?
Honorable Chair, obviously we couldn't have created that. In our report, we specifically indicated that per the inquiry, we were told that it was issued to the former deputy minister, but then it was not handed over. So we have captured exactly what we were told. We couldn't have created that. Thank you.
So per this new finding, that they somehow have now found it in the possession of the IT department, locked up somewhere that they had even forgotten of. Has this development been brought to your attention? And how do you reconcile that going forward?
It has just been brought to our attention.
You are just hearing it here?
Yeah, just hearing it now. So we'll engage the ministry to give us evidence of that.
You see, honorable member, all that this thing exposes is that that ministry, they don't have audit trail on assets. When they transfer assets to somebody, they don't have an audit trail on it. That's what it exposes. Otherwise, they wouldn't have mentioned the deputy minister's name, that he had it, whilst it was sitting at IT. Yatsi. Are you done, sir? Thank you very much. Ministry of Trade and Industry, you are discharged.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Now we call Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
I, John Pomelo,
do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
Do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
Touching the matter in issue.
Touching the matter and issue.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth. The whole truth. And nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Honorable Minister, could you introduce, could you and your delegation introduce yourself, please?
Good morning, Honorable Chair. My name is Honorable John Dumelo, MP for Ayawaso West Wagon, and then also Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture.
Honorable Chair, good morning. My name is Paul Siame, the Chief Director, Minister of Food and Agriculture.
Honorable Chair, my name is Nuhu Ibrahim. I'm the head of budget at the ministry.
Honorable Chair, my name is Emmanuel Eduse, Financial Controller, Minister of Food and Agriculture.
My name is Doris Yanwana Vai, the former Director of Procurement.
My name is Josephine Ivy Quegrin, Acting Director, PPMED.
All right, Minister of Agriculture, we'll start with Honorable Davis Opoku-Ansah, and it's on paragraph 96 to 102.
Thank you very much. A day for you. How is the Nkokon Kitinkete doing?
They are becoming Nkokon Kesian.
So you realize that the focus of the Ministry of Finance, and for that matter, the Deputy Minister, especially in his submission on the floor of Parliament, and also this morning, clearly it's on the ministry that you are heading. And I think it's important that we clarify the issues, give us the explanations, and if wrong has been done, we ensure that as a committee, the right punitive measures are put in place. But to start with, I want us to look at page 96 of the report. And I probably maybe will make reference to the auditors that talked about the reclassification of the outstandings. It is indicated that there's a total amount of 1,232,304, out of which 120,090 related to MUFAD, and 1,112,213 is related to the Ministry of Finance. And these are reclassification. Are you able to give explanations, auditors, to this subject? Yes, please go ahead. No, I'm starting with the auditors. I want us to look at the reclassifications that you did.
Honorable Chair, these have been reclassified because these did not belong to MOFA. That is why it was reclassified. But it was included in the schedule that was provided to us.
Mm-hmm. All right, okay. So now let's get to the details. Some 72 million, and I'm on page 98, which is on validation of arrears and the payables of commitments. The audit report says that some 72 million was already settled. And this, you included this in your outstanding payables and claims. They cite Power China International, they cite Mrs. Atigri Limited, they cite Grumman Twins Company Limited, they cite Rans Logistics Limited. Let me start with Power China. What is your response to the difference of about 5,963,544 that you submitted to the Ministry of Finance when you knew that it had been paid? Are you able to give some explanation to this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will hand it over to my budget officer to answer those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In fact, this observation came as a surprise to us. As earlier on, the Chief Director of the Ministry of Finance was talking about exchange rate differentials. When it was found, we and the auditors had agreed that it was due to exchange rate differences because the contract is in US dollars, claims are made in US dollars, but the budget is under GOG. So usually when we applied in Ghana cedis. The monies are released in Ghana cedis, sent to Bank of Ghana, and then it is converted back again to US dollars to the contractor. So until the process is complete, you don't have the exact amount. So depending on who is converting or at what stage, you will come out with different figures. So this was the case. But even going further, if we want to go by the audit standards, what they put there, if the contractor had confirmed their outstandings in US dollars, and if you were to go and use it as the confirmation that they got from the contractor, you wouldn't have arrived at this conclusion. You would have seen that it's a different conclusion altogether. So we felt that even the confirmation process was not authenticated, or maybe it was just a convenience pick for that matter.
So you are being very vague. I mean, you claim that if you were to follow auditing standards, that should not be the case. What should be the case, Mr. Nuhu?
Honorable, respectfully, let me I'm not saying auditing standards. I say their standards because they use the contractor's confirmation to authenticate the situation. And if I obtained the response from the contractor from them on Friday, and then the contractor clearly indicated they are outstanding with us, which is different from their findings.
You mean the contractor's communication to the auditors is completely different from what is contained in the report?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that letter? Or auditors, do you have something to say on this very infraction?
Honorable Chair, would like to see a copy of the confirmations that
Budget officer. But after the auditors got their responses, they called you to the Ministry of Finance. Didn't they call you there?
Yeah, they call us.
And didn't you guys, compare notes? Didn't you go there to confirm?
Honorable Chair, that's what I indicated, that the earlier agreement that we had with it is not what the conclusion that is in the report. Okay. Because in their rejection...
No, but I'm back to the letter from Power China International Group Limited. And I have a letter with me, and it's on the Palugu irrigation project. Auditors, do you have a copy of this letter? Or you want to see this letter? If you want to, I can pass it on. Please. Is there someone called Georgina Ancia at... Yes, please kindly speak to it.
Yes, we can authenticate.
But the figure on the letter is completely different. Please kindly speak to it.
Yes, we can authenticate.
But the figure on the letter is completely different from what was captured in the report. Are you able to explain why it happened so?
As I take a look at the figures, based on the confirmation, we received, and per the schedule of the outstanding payments, you can see that had already been paid. Part of this was included in the outstanding payment. So based on the confirmation and our internal checks, we noted that 5.96 million of it had already been paid, but was included in the.
So, and it brings me back to the question I asked when the Deputy Minister was in the chair about exit meetings, and because I know per standard audit practice, you need to come back to the agency involved. Ministry of Agri, are you able to tell us, with this information that you are providing us now, are you able to tell us whether or not the auditors came back to you to seek clarification on this particular Power China info?
It was clear that this was due to exchange rate differences. But we didn't have the responses from the supplier. The suppliers' responses went straight to the auditors.
So it is established that the amount here can be attributed to exchange rate differentials. Is that the case, auditors?
Honorable Chair, would have to verify that. So we'll engage them to verify that. But as was indicated, the outstanding payables were translated at a certain rate that was shared with us by the Ministry, of Finance. So we would like to go into it a bit more detailed. But at the time that we performed the procedures, these clearly showed an overpayment, which we had to reject. If it is being attributed to exchange rates, we would like to confirm that by verifying it.
Thank you very much. I find it a bit worrying when there's a fixed exchange rate, especially when we know how fluctuating the rate can be. But that said, we will need you to confirm, just confirm with them and revert to us. Now let's go to